Okay, part 2 of the helicopter comparison. That's 3 channel. This here is the EXRC Sky Patroller. Nice helicopter. I'll let you know off the bat that I think they went a little overboard with the lights. Okay, that right there, I think that's a little overboard. But after all, it looks pretty cool, especially at night. There's nothing that looks cooler than that. All those lights flashing. But as I said in the previous video, the more lights, the more battery. The more battery you're using, the less flight time you have. So it's like, again, you only get maybe 10, 12 minutes of flight and 20 to 30 minute charging period. Sometimes 40 for if you want a longer flight, charge it for 40, but no more than 40 because that's called overcharging it, and you eventually lose battery life over time. The difference between, instead of a tail light, it got a tail rotor. This here is what drives the helicopter. Okay. This here is what controls this motion. The forward, the backward, the forward motion. So that's the thing about these 3 channels. But now you gotta be able to not only turn it, but you gotta either fly forwards or backwards. So these are a little bit more tricky to fly than the 2 channel, but a lot easier to land because they hover. So you can simply just drop it. These things actually land like a helicopter. Okay, so like I said with the 2 channel, if you fly planes, 2 channels are nothing to land for you. I mean, you can land them like on the floor and stuff, but I don't mean you like go land them on a table or something. These things here, you can land them anywhere. But of course, it's gonna tip over if you land it in the wrong area, like on a bed or in a mattress or something on an uneven surface. It's gonna, of course, tip over. Again, my favorite blades, the folding kind. The rear rotor don't fold up, but just like I said, look how tiny it is. Okay, now it's nothing. Again, the flight bar is actually on top this time instead of in the middle between the blades like on the 2 channel. Again, it's also weighted. Now, when you're storing these things or when you're going on trips and stuff, you gotta be careful on how you store them. These flight bars, if you break these flight bars, you're in trouble. Because you have to go buy a whole new helicopter. You cannot break these things. And you can see they got little weights in them. You lose these weights, you also screwed, and that just gets it off balance, and it gets off. Yeah, it gets all squirrely and real screwy real quick. Okay. So that's the plane. The controller. Again, charging cable. This is standard indoor RC helicopter controller. But this one here, the throttle, you gotta pretty much keep your fingers on it, because as you can see, this is off. This is considered throttled off. That means you're not hitting the throttle. This here is full blast. So that's another thing too I had to get used to, was the full blast. If it's up here, it's gonna stay full blast. It doesn't spring back. So what I like about this one here is that if you go to crash, you can just release you can just take your finger off. So you're flying around, all of a sudden you crash, you just take your finger off. This one here, if you crash and you're going, like I say, full blast, you have to flick it back real quick, because you do burn your motor up. If these blades are not spinning and yet that motor is winding, bad. That's a really bad sign. That will fry your motor up real quick. And again, you'd be without a helicopter. You ain't no way in hell you're going to go replace a motor unless you can get one at a hobby shop. But if you don't live near a hobby shop and you break your helicopter, you're screwed. You have to either get a new one offline, or you're going to have to order parts offline, which is not cheap. That brings you to another thing too. Both of these helicopters, cost $20 at JCPenney. That's why I got these 2 for Christmas at JCPenney. Okay. But again, $20 helicopters, yet, like this one here, I crashed the hell out of it, and it still flies like a champ a year later. This one here only had since this year, Christmas of 2011, and I crashed it a few times. It still flies like a champ. I figured I'd break the skis off. You can see they're pretty flimsy. But still, I mean, this thing is built. I mean, wow. I mean, that's a, oh shit, $20 helicopter. And I was like, yeah, first time we crash that, or it's going to wear out real quick. Like I said, I had these things, I had this one here a little over a year now. Going on a year, and almost a year and a half. And it still flies like a champ. After it's been through hell and back. Same with this one. Only had this one since of Christmas of 2011, and it still flies, despite me crashing it a few times. Again, 6 batteries for the controller. And again, I have rechargeable batteries, and I highly recommend if you're an avid flyer, or if you're someone who flies these things a lot, get rechargeable batteries, because I am telling you, you use the charging cable a lot, you run down your batteries, because it takes the battery juice off the batteries from here to juice the batteries up in the plane itself. This in here had a defect on it the first time I got it. First of all, the controller didn't even want to turn on. I mean, I hit the on button. Okay, I don't know why it blinks, but see, just flick the throttle up and down, and it's good. You see this thing here, just the infrared. Then you just saw flashing. Of course, you got the light. Of course, you got the band thing here. The trim on this thing's right here. This is what you use to trim your helicopter. That's another thing too. If you used to the whole button thing, this thing here is real tricky, because you gotta get this thing just right. If you don't, your helicopter's gonna go spinning out of control, and it's usually ugly. Okay. Well, anyway, this is the EXRC. RC helicopter sky patroller. Okay, of course you got your right analog stick, up, down, left, right. That's what controls the helicopter. And this here's the throttle, up, down. Charging cable, of course. Just like I said before, if you're an avid flyer, or if you're a person who flies these things a lot, some helicopters, some of the more expensive hobby grade ones, do have some of the toy grade ones too also have stuff you can plug into the wall, like a USB. Now, this is my iPod charger. So all I can do is just take the iPod cord out, plug my helicopter cord in with the USB. Then I can just stick into the helicopter and charge it off the wall. Saves batteries. Saves a lot of batteries, especially when you're buying a lot of batteries. It's best to get one that has the wall charger included, or if you can get something with the USB that has the particular adapter to plug into the helicopter, you can also plug this into the wall. Well, anyway, that's the 2 helicopters, and I'm gonna go ahead and get off here, and then I'm gonna do some other videos on me flying them. Once I get somebody else to hold the camera at the same time as I'm flying these helicopters. But anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead now and let you go.